Magandang araw. Welcome to my channel, The Law Requisites PH. Ako ang inyong host, Kuya CPE Lawyer Attorney, Law Requisites. Bilang ating first episode, ilalatag ko muna kung ano ang overview ng Philippine legal system. But before anything else, please subscribe to our channel para lagi kayong updated sa ating mga new episodes. So in this podcast, I will be uploading decisions of the Supreme Court and relevant Philippine laws for us to learn about it. Ang importance naman nito sa akin is that I'm learning new laws that I might use sa aking mga cases. So while learning from the law itself, I'm giving it to you for free para lahat tayo ay natututo. Okay, let's begin with the discussion. The Philippine legal system is a unique blend of Western and Eastern legal traditions primarily influenced by the Spanish, American, and indigenous cultures. This hybrid system has shaped by the Philippines' colonial history with over 300 years under the Spanish rule, followed by nearly half a century of American colonization. Pag-usapan natin itong mga era na ito at ano yung kasalukuyang batas natin na galing sa Spanish era, American era, at indigenous laws ng Pilipinas. Let's begin with Spanish era between 1565 to 1898. In this era, introduced civil law traditions, Catholic Church influence laws, and the concept of centralized government. The Código Penal, the Spanish Penal Code, and Código Civil, Spanish Civil Code, are examples of Spanish legal influence that were later adapted to fit local conditions. Yung sinasabi dito na Código Penal is what we call now as the Revised Penal Code, which became a law noong 1932. And then ito namang Código Civil is now the new Civil Code. So ano ang makikita sa new Civil Code? Yun yung mga batas pertaining to the relationship between citizens to citizens. Ang Revised Penal Code naman ay dyan nakasulat lahat ng batas ng Pilipinas pertaining to the criminal acts or actions punishable by the state. Anong example ng mga ito? Murder and theft, qualified theft, arson, and other punishable acts. Yan ay na-lift natin mula sa Spanish era from 1565 to 1898. Nung American era naman, from 1898 to 1946, it brought the common law system, public education, and the democratic institutions. The American period introduced the concept of a republic with a constitution, significantly influencing the structure of the Philippine government and its legal processes. So ang ating 1987 Constitution ay byproduct nitong American era, which dated between the period of 1898 to 1946. So tayo ay Republican country, democratic country, the power resides in the people. So yan naman ay nilift natin mula sa mga Amerikano. So ikatlong source ng ating batas ay ang indigenous influence. Pre-colonial customs and traditions also play a role in the Philippine legal system, particularly in areas of family law, property, and dispute resolution among indigenous communities. A basic example po nito is Republic Act 8371 or the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act, yung IPRA law. So ang default kasi system natin ka-law requisites is that all lands belong to the state. The exception is itong mga lupang pagmamay-ari ng mga indigenous people. At yung karapatan na yan ay nakasulat sa Republic Act 8371 o IPRA Law. So basically, the government is honoring the ownership ng mga indigenous people. Like for myself, ako ay membro din ng tribo. Kung anong tribo yan, malalaman nyo in our later uploads. But then again, ayun nga, we are very thankful that the government made this law honoring or kumbaga is tinerespeto niya yung ownership ng mga katutubo. Like yung mga kapatid nating Igorot, meron silang ancestral domain somewhere in administrative in the Cordillera. Mga kapatid nating Ifugao may ancestral domain sa Ifugao. So madaming katutubo na nagkalat sa Pilipinas and they are given the land. So nabibigyan sila ng titulo. Once na nabigyan ng titulo, those land cannot be sold or even rented or even disposed of. Kasi private community property na yan ng mga katutubo at it is punishable under that law kapag isa kang miyembro ng tribo and then binebenta mo yung lupain na yan. And even if you are not a tribe's member, tapos nagbebenta ka ng titled ancestral land. Let's continue our discussion with regard to the Philippine Constitution. The 1987 Philippine Constitution is the supreme law of the land, enshrining the separation of powers, national sovereignty, democratic principles, and human rights. Ano yung mga key principles na makikita sa 1987 Constitution? It is number 1, sovereignty of the people. The power ultimately resides in the people. Ikalawa, yung separation of powers. The government is divided into 3 independent branches, the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary, to prevent abuse of power. Just like what happened in the Marcos regime. But I will not expound that anymore para iwas ang debate sa comment section. But in the martial law of former President Marcos Sr., those were the times that the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary merged into one. Na-merge siya sa kamay ni President Marcos Sr. So, siya na ang gumagawa ng batas, siya rin ang nag-execute ng batas nung nagkaroon ng martial law. So, yan yung iniiwasan ng 1987 Constitution, to be honest. Kaya nagawa yung 1987 Constitution, majority of the provision were drafted para hindi na maulit ang nangyari sa madilim na history ng Pilipinas. The next is the Bill of Rights, a cornerstone of the Constitution, guaranteeing fundamental rights such as freedom of speech, religion, and due process. This one is napaka-importante na dapat nyong malaman. If you have time to read this Article 3 of the 1987 Constitution. It consists of around 21 sections. Napaka-ikli but it is important that you read these provisions. Number 1 na pinaka-importante dyan is Section 1, Article 3 of the 1987 Constitution, saying that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied the equal protection of the laws. Yan ang isa sa pinaka-importanteng karapatan na dapat alam ninyo. Ano ang significance ng 1987 Constitution sa ating everyday life? The Constitution affects daily life by ensuring the protection of individuals, guiding the creation of law, and framing the government's role in society. The 1987 Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Any law that is created by the Congress, the Senate, the legislative department can be stricken down or mapapawalang bisa if it is contrary to the 1987 Constitution. The same yung mga ginagawa ng ating Pangulo which is contrary to the 1987 Constitution can be stricken down. So hindi lahat ng ginagawa ng President, ginagawa ng Congress, even the judiciary can be can all of those decisions na ginagawa nila can be stricken down if it is contrary, if it runs counter to the 1987 Constitution. Take note of that. And even all the contracts that we execute between us citizens and another corporations or another entities, those provisions can be stricken down or those contracts can be stricken down if it's against the law or the 1987 Constitution. Ano ba ang role ng executive, legislative at saka judiciary? So, ang executive branch of government ay responsible in the implementation of laws, conduct of foreign policy, and serves as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So, sa executive, it is our President Bongbong Marcos. At meron siyang, dahil malawag ang cover ng executive department, meron siyang mga department secretaries. So, ang mga department secretaries ay alter ego ng presidente. So, ibig sabihin, kung anong sabihin ni secretary, department secretary, it's as if that person is acting on behalf of the Philippine president. So, kapag may maling nagawa si department secretary, automatic tender na ng resignation. So, ano naman itong legislative department? Legislative department creates, amends, and repeal laws, approves the national budget, and has the power to declare war. Wala sa function ng mga congressman at senator ang maghawak ng lump sum ng pera. Pero yan yung allegation ni former President Duterte, that the legislative department is the most corrupt institution of the government because walang audit yung kanilang perang kinukuha based dun sa allegation ni former President Duterte. It's up to you kung ano yung decision nyo, whether they are corrupt or not. But recently, lumabas sa balita, 51 billion ang napunta sa Davao kay congressman, sa anak ni former President Digong. 51 billion for 3 years, that is around 46 million a year, base sa kwenta ng isang TikToker, si Mr. Tan. And then the third branch of the government is the judiciary. The judiciary department reviews the constitutionality of laws, resolves legal conflicts, and protects individual rights as enshrined in the Constitution. So, the judiciary somewhat makes laws rin when they are making decisions, especially when the Supreme Court makes jurisprudence. So, jurisprudence form part of the law of the land. They supply dun sa pagkukulang na ginawang batas ng Congress and the executive. The executive department also can make law through the executive order. Remember the Family Code of the Philippines? It is created by way of executive order. So, there you go. If you find this interesting, itong the way I delivered the topic, hindi ko na i-edit, as is where is na po siya. So I'm not saying that what I'm saying are all correct, but I'm trying to convey to you what is lawful and what is right and what is tama na nasusulat sa ating mga libro. So I will try my best to become trustworthy of your support and trust. So if you find my content useful, I hope that you follow this channel. You can follow me on TikTok, Law Requisites PH, in my YouTube, and in my Facebook. To end, this overview captures the essence of the Philippine legal system, its constitutional framework, and the functioning of the government, providing a foundation to understand the broader aspects of law and governance in the Philippines. With that, I end my first episode of the Law Requisite PH, giving you the overview of the Philippine legal system. See you again mga ka-Law Requisites. Bye-bye. Have a good day.